Assalamualaikum warahmatullah, and a very good day to all students out there. Today we're going to discuss Mfrs 15 again, revenue from contract with customer, but our focus will be on other revenue issues. And when we talk about other revenue issues, if you can go back to the slide or the notes that we provide you, and that was a few things that have been mentioned there, which is on principal agent relationship. So for principal agent relationship is where the principal has the obligation to provide goods or perform services to a customer. Principal here is the entity that sells the good. They do not directly sell the good to the customer. They appoint an agent that is being appointed will perform the obligation as an intermediary, which is to arrange for the principal, find the customer for the principal, sell the goods on behalf of this principal, and they sell the goods or services to the customer. The customer here is the end customer, right? And then the revenue for the agent, we're not focusing on revenue for the agent. Our focus is on revenue for the principal. However, for the agent that is selling on behalf of the principal, the revenue comes from the commission. This is the case of all, mostly the grocery shop, right? That you may have noticed, right? Grocery shop, their revenue mainly come from the commission revenue given by the various supplier and manufacturer. Principal recognize the revenue when the goods or services are sold by the intermediary to the third party. So the principal like Gardenia that manufacture bread, yeah, they will recognize the revenue once the, let's say, grocery shop sold the goods to the customer, the end customer, the students, the staff. If we talk about campus UITM, Tapa. The moment it's being sold off, the portion that are being sold off is the one that are recognized as a revenue. Let's say we talk about uh 10,000 worth of goods being dispatched by the principal to the agent, but the agent only sold off 8,000 worth of goods. So the 8,000 is the one that is the issue of recognized as the revenue after deducting with the commission being paid to the customer, or the commission here is the one being received not to the customer but to the agent, sorry, yeah, not to the customer. The commission is paid to the agent. So the principal agent relationship issue there is for you to assess. Here I'm putting you as the principal, whether or not the entity that is the agent, that is the one acting as an intermediary, yeah, which is like Lazada, Shopee, they are the intermediary, right? Has obtained control of the specified goods or service before it transfer them to the end customer. Does Lazada has the control if there is out of stock, for example, or if you become a dealer? Do you have a control? You are just a dealer, right? You just sell goods on behalf of your principal. So the condition, and in that case, can be the an issue. So the consideration given here might be helpful under MFRS 15. Intermediary shouldn't be the one that obtain control. You need to see whether intermediary has the control or intermediary does not have the control. If it obtains control or it does not obtain control. So if it obtain control, meaning that the control does not obtain control, the control here is where supplier has a substantive right to call for the inventory. They can ask the uh, intermediary to return the goods delivered, and this is like in consignment arrangement where The situation is that the agent does not obtain control, because control is only passed when the agent sell the goods to the end customer. So there are no such thing as control under the case of where the supplier has a substantive right to call back for the inventory that was being dispatched. Intermediary obtains control. This is where the supplier and intermediary enter into a bill and hold arrangement, for example, and the entity or the principal in our case here is to see whether or not the intermediary obtain control. Principal need to see whether the criteria for the transfer of control is being met. Look, this one is the diagram showing the control assessment that may be done by the supplier in the case of principal-agent relationship. So first thing is that goods or services are being delivered to the intermediary, delivered only. Intermediary is the one that will sell the goods to the customer, end customer, goods or services. Customer will pay to the intermediary. Intermediary will collect on behalf of the supplier. So if they purchase the goods, intermediary will take the goods and will deliver the goods, right? So when goods are purchased by the customer, money is collected. Intermediary is entitled to a commission. The money collected will be remitted to the supplier. Supplier is the principal, the seller entity. Yeah. So if that is the case, intermediary does not obtain control, and in this case, it is acting as an agent. So agent is the intermediary, the principal is the supplier. However, if intermediary obtains control, meaning that they have the right to decide over what to do with the sale of goods, for example, they have the control, right, in advance of transferring the goods to the customer. Therefore, intermediary is not an agent. Intermediary is a principal. So that one is a different scenario. Our focus is looking at a supplier, which is involving in principal and agent relationship with the intermediary, right? The person or the company that is selling the goods on behalf of the customer. Bill and hold arrangements arise. Okay, this is for bill and hold arrangement to give the illustration. What is bill and hold? It is the case where you as the seller can bill your customer, but you can hold the goods that are supposed to be delivered to the customer. Goods are ready for delivery. Customer is being billed for the goods. But the goods are not being delivered because the customer is not yet ready to take the delivery. It will not be delivered, but it will be delivered until at a later date as agreed by the customer. So the company or the entity will not ship the goods to the customer until a later date. Entity or the seller must assess in these cases whether the control has been transferred to the customer, even though the customer does not have physical possessions. When FAR 15 gives some guideline for bill and wholesale for whatever criteria that need to be fulfilled before customer um, um, that does not have physical possession is having control anyway. Right. Revenue for the entity is normally recognized when the control of goods transfer to the customer. Not when the goods itself transfer to the customer, but the control of the goods. Right? Where when the moment you bill them is the date that you recognize the revenue. You bill and hold the goods. That's why you say bill and hold. Bill the goods but hold that, bill the customer. Yeah. Result when the buyer is not ready to take delivery. So this normally happen when buyer is not ready to take delivery for various substantive reasons. No space, not available in the foreign country, or maybe the building to house the goods are not yet ready. It is still under renovation whatsoever, but they agree to take title and accept billing. When they accept the billing, they take the title, the customer is said to have control. When the customer has control, the revenue can be recognized by the entity, company that sell the goods. So this is the illustration. Entity, seller sell the is goods to the buyer. That happen when they agree to have done that in a contract, alright, and the customer is billed. Yeah, goods are ready, but not that they do not deliver. Why? The customer is the one that requests for the late delivery due to substantive reason. And one of the reason in this situation can also be that not enough space, where when that means when there are no delivery yet, because at your customer request, they do not have physical possession. When there is no physical possession, it means that the customer is not ready to take the goods, but they agree to take title, they obtain control. When they obtain control, you as the entity that sell the good can now recognize the revenue as the performance obligation is satisfied, where the control is uh, being obtained by the customer the moment they ask for the late delivery and agree to accept billing, but they do not want the goods to be delivered. So it can be recognized by the seller. These are the criteria that must be met. All four must be there for the customer to have obtained control in a bill and hold arrangement. As the customer obtain control, we as the selling entity, the seller, can recognize the goods. So number one is the reason must be substantive. Customer requests for the arrangement. Why? Because of the various substantive reason, not enough space for the product, yeah, to be kept or delay in production schedule, or maybe the customer simply is away, for like 1 or 2 months to keep the goods on my behalf. The various other reason, um, maybe they want to make it a surprise whatsoever, and they want to deliver it the day and the date that they have decided. Okay, product must be identified. So meaning that it is already there on the shelf, right? Already set aside separately. If anyone comes and asks, the seller might say, oh, this one, there's already a buyer. Product currently must be ready for physical transfer, meaning that has been identified, everything has been set up, yeah, installed. For example, if it's goods that are ready-made, right? Ready for transfer to the customer. Only the customer is the one that asks for the delayed delivery. Product cannot be used. Customer wedding gown, for example, you are the designer, you sell the that wedding gown, right? So the one that is being booked by the customer agreed to be delivered, but customer said, hang on first, keep it. It cannot be used by you. Cannot be sold to another customer. Keep it in your store. Don't sell it. Don't use it for photo shoot whatsoever. If it's the wedding gown and that are purchased, but yet the delivery is not yet made due to request of the customer for various substantive reasons. These are the diagram that you can use, or the flow chart that you can use to decide whether a customer obtain control. It has the 4 criteria there. All 4 criteria must be there before or else customer will not obtain control. So if the customer obtain control, the customer will have the right to the goods, and the entity now has the right to recognize revenue on a bill and hold basis, where bill first, hold the goods, right, and recognize revenue on the goods that are still held in your premise. You can check the example of Mama Berhad here. Agreed to sell 145,000. Cost is 128. Display shelf. December the 4th. Agreement, so where there is a contract. In 2007 to a local restaurant. So the customer has a chain of restaurant, Mami Piao in Penang. They're planning to expand its location around the Georgetown city. Under the agreement, Mami Piao requests the entity Mama to retain this display shelf in its warehouse. So don't deliver me the goods yet. Keep it in your store, in your warehouse. I'm only ready to house the display shelf by the time my new restaurant is, you know, being renovated or being opened. All right. So ready by 5th of January. So the title will be passed to Mami Piao. So on the moment the title is being passed, you as the seller can recognize the sale, and Mami Piao has obtained control even without physical possession of the shelf, right? At the time the agreement is signed. So the should be recognized on December 4th, the sale of goods. Not when on 5th of January, when the shelf is being delivered, maybe after 5th of January. Mami Piao made full payment on the same year, which is 20th of December. The year end is every 31st December. Okay, you are asked to actually required when should Mama recognize the revenue. So explain when should Mama recognize the revenue. Generalize the transaction in the week of Mama. Okay, this is happen, Mama. Okay, select. Have this agreement or contract signed, shelf are ready to be delivered, but does not deliver the item because customer is the one that requests, because customer has no space available. Therefore, they do not have physical possession of the goods. However, they have uh, already taken the title and accepted the billing, meaning to say that is that just that they do not they are not ready to take the delivery. Customer still has not been through. We will recognize Mama, which is the entity. The seller will recognize the revenue. When? On 4th of December. Why? Because the performance obligation is being satisfied. What is the performance obligation? Yeah. In our case here, performance obligation is satisfied when the customer ready to take delivery and accept title and billing. You can start recording it, right? But before that, this is the explanation to the diagram. Yeah, it was recognized at a point in time, when you satisfy performance obligation, 4th of December, because it is a bill and hold arrangement. The display shelf was considered as being delivered with a so-called long hand, not delivered, but It was at the request of the customer for the goods not to be delivered but be retained and set aside on the sales premises as sold. So sold. Remember, you can go to some uh, prices and you notice certain goods have the label sold, maybe because of bill and hold. Thus, the customer Mami Piao has the control of the goods. Because they have the control, you also can now recognize the goods. When they have the control, they can direct the use of it and also enjoy the remaining benefits. So the first transaction on the date contract being signed is being uh, considered as the first transaction because that is a bill and wholesale. In normal circumstances, when the goods are being delivered by here, not the date when the goods are delivered, but the date the bill is accepted by the customer. Yeah, um, the customer accept billing and take the title. So the cost of goods sold as usual. Record the sale on 4th of December on the day formal obligation is satisfied, on the day the billing is accepted, the title is transferred, right? But the goods are not delivered due to the request of the customer. Record revenue, debiting the account receivable, crediting the revenue. Then they make the payment after 16 days. Bank is debited and me make payment 145. Record the payment received. Consignment arrangement now. Consignment sale. I already explained it earlier where the principle in relationship just now, right? Entity is the consignor, the goods to the distributor, which is the consignee. They retain the control. Entity retain control of the goods until a predetermined event occurs, until the goods are being sold by the distributor, which is the consignee, to the customer, which is the end customer. Revenue is not recognized on delivery. So on the day that the consignor delivered the goods to the consignee to be sold to the third party, we do not recognize revenue. Why? Because the product is still held on consignment, not sold to the third party. Consignment sale happen when a consignor or manufacturer or normal wholesaler delivers goods to the consignee. They as an agent sell the goods on consignor's behalf. Consignee receive a commission. They will receive commission because they sell goods, right? And the consignee will remit the balance of collected. Remember, I give the example of 10,000 earlier. 8,000 will be remitted, 2,000, 8,000. Yeah. So with the after the addition of discount, the revenue to the consignee is the commission received to the consignee. We are not talking about so much on revenue to the consignee. We are looking at revenue to consignor, the principal, or the consignor, the entity that will recognize the sale in full, and that normally when it is being sold off by the consigned to the third party, the notification of sale from the consignee, and there is a receipt of cash being uh, remitted by the consignee to the consignor. These are some of the indicators to show that this is a consignment arrangement that is under FAR270. It says product is controlled by the by the entity until a specified period or event occurred, sale of the product to the customer until some specified period expire sometime. Yeah. Service, for example, can also be under consignment. Right? You provide service, but you do not directly provide service. You use your dealer to provide the service until a certain period, thing for them to return. But that when the period expires, yeah, you are considered to talk about the product where it is still under your control or not. The entity which is consignor is able to acquire the return of the product. Let's say they are not able to sell and you find the alternative to sell the same product, you ask them to transfer the goods to you. If they can sell it to the third party, you can give that to another dealer. The dealer or the company does not have unconditional obligation to pay for the product. So they might pay a little bit of fee at the beginning to become the dealers, right? But we do not have any other unconditional obligation to for the product. They do not bear the risk of having the product unsold. They do not bear the risk to see the product expires. It's all, and the risk there will be at the obligation of the consignor. So dealer doesn't have any unconditional obligation bear risk whatsoever. We have Sentuh as an example that sell furniture to laman impian store on a consignment basis. The product are immediately proposed for sale in laman impian store. So laman impian store ya consignee sentuhan ada consignor. Sentuh ajaib retains the title to the product until the day are sold to the end customer. We are the customer. Laman does not have any obligation to sentuhan that they don't have to pay until sale occurs, and any unsold product can be returned to the company. So there's consignor. Tuhan ajaib retain the right to take back any product. They agree to that. Transfer any product to another retailer should, let's say, Lama Impian does manage to sell to land customer. Once Lama Impian 80,000 of the product to the end customer, if so Lama Impian sell 80,000 of the product to the customer, they are entitled to 10% commission. So 80,000 percent 8,000. For 72,000 is the sale to be recognized by sentuhan at 80 minus the 10% out of 80. The remaining unsold furniture, which is the one 20,000, will be returned back to budget. So the question is, when does the entity sentuhan recognize renew? Yeah. Okay, we check this. First is what happens when I deliver the laman impian. Laman impian is the agent that sells the goods to the customer and customer. We need to check whether laman impian a principal or an agent intermediary. When you assess this, you will see that it is likely an agent. Therefore, it is an agent does not obtain control. It's not the sale of laman impian, it's the sale of sentuhan ajaib. So no, it's not the sale of laman impian because laman impian does not control. It means that this of sentuhan ajaib. Therefore, sentuhan ajaib, the entity, the consignor will recognize revenue from the sale, which is 80,000 minus the commission expense of 10%, let's say 8,000. So they will recognize the revenue from sale of goods to the consignment management. Okay, these are the answers for that recognized revenue when the consignee sell goods to the customer. Laman impian has physical possession, does not take title, has the right to sell. It does not have an unconditional obligation to pay the principal or the consignor is the right to call back the product. Therefore, revenue is not recognized when the goods are delivered. Laman impian, instead, they need to first assess whether it is acceptable to the transaction with the end customer. They need to assess whether laman impian, the consignee, is the principal. In this case, laman impian, the principal is just intermediary. If that is the case, sentuhan ajaib can recognize the revenue when the goods are being sold by laman impian the end customer, and the amount that was received from this product, your revenue after deducting the amount retained by Lama Impian. 8,000, which is 2 bulan income, is a commission income. But to the point of your budget, that's a commission expense. That's it.